Hi, I'm Mr. New Jersey. In this video, I will be making predictions about the outcomes of the 2017 New Jersey gubernatorial and state legislative elections. For the governor's race in particular, I will be discussing which counties I think will vote for which candidates. And I'll be making all of these predictions based on the election results of similar elections in recent years. I'll start with the legislature because that's much more straightforward and simpler than the governor's race. What's going to happen is that the Democrats will maintain control of both houses of New Jersey's legislature. Democrats have controlled both houses of New Jersey's legislature since 2004, which is over a decade, and I see no reason why that should end now. I'll go over a few of the factors weighing in the Democrats' favor. The first is simply incumbency. The incumbent is the person currently holding the office. Incumbents have natural advantages in winning elections, such as name recognition, the fact that they may have made good impressions on their constituents through their actions in the legislature, and the fact that they have likely already built up some substantial campaign infrastructure through getting elected previously. I haven't studied the individual legislative elections, so I'm not going to go through every single one and make a separate prediction. But incumbency is such a powerful factor in these elections that my individual prediction for every election will be that the incumbent will win. And in cases where the incumbent is not running, such as due to retirement, my prediction is that the candidate from the incumbent's party will win. Do I actually think the incumbents will win every single election? No. But since I don't have enough knowledge to determine which specific ones the incumbents will lose, for any individual race you point me to, just assume my prediction is the incumbent will win it. Making a blanket prediction like that, I've basically guaranteed myself that I will get the majority of these races correct. Now, the notable exception to the rule that incumbents have an advantage is if the incumbent party is incredibly unpopular. This is particularly true if they control the governorship at the state level or the presidency at the federal level, and the governor or president is really unpopular. However, since the Republicans currently control the New Jersey governorship, and the governor, Christie, is very unpopular, that exception to the rule does not apply in these legislative elections. Another factor weighing in the Democrats' favor is that they were the ones who drew the current state legislative districts, and of course that allows the potential of gerrymandering, whereby drawing the districts, you draw them in such a way that you benefit your own party's chances of winning seats. At first glance, you'd probably assume that the reason the Democrats were able to draw this legislative district map is because they control the state legislature, but that's actually not true. New Jersey is one of the states that uses a commission to draw its state legislative districts rather than the state legislature itself, so winning the legislature doesn't mean you get to draw the districts. I'll go into this in more detail in a video I'll do eventually about gerrymandering in New Jersey. But essentially what happens is you have a commission with half Democrats, half Republicans, and one independent, and each side goes off and draws their own map, and then comes and tries to sway the independent, and then the independent picks one of the partisan maps. We use a similar system for congressional districts. So actually, New Jersey's state legislative districts were drawn by and for the Democrats, while its congressional districts were drawn by and for the Republicans. So I guess that's some sort of equality or something. Not equality in terms of outcome, of course, but just equal opportunity to gerrymander. Now I'm going to make my predictions for the gubernatorial election. First of all, Phil Murphy is the more likely candidate to win. One indication is polling, but as 2016 showed, polling can often either be inaccurate or misinterpreted. So I'm actually basing this prediction on what I call the election laws of physics, which are trends in election history that simply happen to be true most of the time. The most relevant of the election laws of physics to this discussion is that unpopular incumbents and members of their political parties who try to be their successors tend to lose. Kim Guadagno has attempted to distance herself from Christie substantially, but she was, of course, Christie's lieutenant governor, and Christie is unpopular at the moment, which makes a Kim Guadagno victory very unlikely in this particular year. In essence, you could say that because the current governor is an unpopular Republican, it is a Democratic year to win, just as it was a Republican year to win in 2009, when unpopular Democratic Governor John Corzine lost his re-election bid to Chris Christie. However, I do want to take issue with a different argument about why Phil Murphy is likely to win. You may hear some people say that Phil Murphy will win simply because New Jersey is a blue state, and the blue state is more likely to elect a Democratic governor. But that's actually not true. I'll go into more detail about this when I eventually make a video about political party strength in New Jersey. But essentially, gubernatorial elections are the only non-local elections in New Jersey where Democrats do not consistently win. As I mentioned, Democrats have controlled the legislature, both houses of it, since 2004. There hasn't been an elected Republican U.S. Senator in New Jersey since the 1970s, and New Jersey's delegation to the U.S. House of Representatives is majority Democratic. But for some reason, the governorship is the one substantial election in New Jersey that completely defies this trend, and has for many years, and it tends to oscillate back and forth between the two parties every few terms or so. Now we'll get to the really fun part, which is county-by-county analysis and predictions. This is the part of the video where I put myself at risk for losing substantial amounts of credibility if I get these predictions wrong, so that adds a whole nother level of excitement to it. Keep in mind, though, that when we make county predictions, it's really entirely academic, because winning particular counties doesn't actually affect the outcome of the election. All that matters in the end is who wins the statewide vote. The way I plan to go about predicting how counties will vote is by looking at how they voted in similar elections in the past. So I'll go over the past 4 gubernatorial elections and how each of the counties voted in those. 4 elections I think is an incredibly fair number because it's the 4 elections of the 21st century. And also, among those 4 elections, there were 2 Republican wins and 2 Democratic wins. So we'll start with the Chris Christie landslide of 2013, which was his re-election to the governorship. At the time, Chris Christie was actually a very popular governor. This was after Bridgegate happened, but before Bridgegate became a big deal that people knew about. At this time, Chris Christie was actually very moderate, so he was able to appeal more to a blue state like New Jersey. For example, he was more open to the idea that human beings play a substantial role in climate change. The reason he was more moderate is that this was before he ran for president. Because New Jersey is a blue state, the entire political spectrum of gubernatorial elections is shifted, such that New Jersey Republicans, on the whole, are more moderate than the national average Republican, and New Jersey Democrats are more liberal than the national average Democrat. Part of what has contributed to his decline in popularity is that when he ran for president and had to appeal to a more conservative national Republican base in the Republican primary, he had to start governing more conservatively so he could point to the incredibly conservative things in his record. He changed his opinion on the level of human impact in climate change, for example. Another factor in Christie's popularity at the time was that his response to Hurricane Sandy, which happened in 2012, was considered very good. The 2013 election was actually influenced by another one of the election laws of physics, that popular incumbents and their intended successors from their same political party tend to win re-election, particularly if they are riding high on approval from big tragedies that they responded well to. As for the results themselves, we can see that only 2 of New Jersey's 21 counties voted for Barbara Buono. Chris Christie won the other 19 counties. While these results are useful for determining precisely how red and blue counties are, for example, we can see that Essex County and Hudson County are so incredibly blue that even an incredibly popular governor from the Republican Party could not win them. The results and their importance to this particular election are lessened by the fact that we are now seeing the reverse election law of physics from the ones that were present in 2013. As we move back in time to Chris Christie's initial election to the governorship, we see that several more counties have joined the Democratic column, voting in favor of John Corzine. 3 of these are within what I and the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism like to call the Gateway region, which is essentially the urban and suburban area outside of New York City, which is in fact the most densely populated region of the state and the most democratic region of the state. The Tourism Division defines the Gateway region as Bergen, Passaic, Hudson, Essex, Union, and Middlesex counties. Those counties combined have 48% of New Jersey's entire population, almost half. And we can see that in this election, 5 of those counties voted for John Corzine. The other counties that joined John Corzine's column in this election were Mercer County, where Trenton is located, Camden County, where of course Camden is located, and also it is the heart of the entire Philadelphia suburbs of New Jersey region, and Cumberland County, which is home to the Vineland-Millville urban pocket. Mercer, Camden, and Cumberland counties are generally considered the bluest counties outside of the Gateway region, so it makes sense that in a closer election such as this one, they would be some of the most highly contested counties. Moving even farther back to 2005, we see John Corzine's initial election to the governorship, and now the map is starting to look a whole lot more blue than it does red. Middlesex County, the final county of the Gateway region, has joined the Democratic column, as well as some of the big swing counties of state politics, Burlington, Atlantic, Gloucester, and Salem. Burlington and Gloucester in particular fill out the rest of the Philadelphia suburbs region of New Jersey. The Gateway region is completely blue, and the only regions of New Jersey that remain red are traditionally red regions like the Jersey Shore and the North Jersey Highlands. The noticeable exception on the shore is Atlantic County, home to Atlantic City. However, part of why Atlantic County remains such a swing county is that even though Atlantic City itself is fairly consistently blue, it isn't a particularly large city by population, so Atlantic County politics really can be a competition where the eastern area around Atlantic City is blue, the western part in the Pine Barrens is red, and the suburban part in the middle is a swing area. I read somewhere, hopefully you'll forgive me for not remembering where, that some organization did an analysis and determined that Atlantic County is actually the best representation of the state as a whole in terms of politics. Think of it sort of like how Missouri used to be considered a bellwether in U.S. presidential elections, that whichever way Missouri voted was likely to be the way that the country voted. And of course, at the federal level of politics, where the political spectrum is farther right than the New Jersey political spectrum, Atlantic County is a solidly Democratic county, so it is representative in that way as well. The final election in this analysis is 2001, when Democrat Jim McGreevey was elected. In this election, we can see Atlantic County's bellwether status, as it has in fact voted for the winning gubernatorial candidate in all four of the elections we've analyzed. The other counties that voted for the winner in all four are Middlesex, Burlington, Gloucester, and Salem. The only two counties that flipped between 2005 and 2001 were Monmouth and Ocean. Nowadays, it's incredibly unusual for Monmouth and Ocean to vote Democratic. Back then, it was still unusual, but not as much so. Those two counties have continued to trend more and more red over time. In fact, by percentage, in the 2016 presidential election, Ocean County was the most red New Jersey county. So because they have been trending more and more red over time, Ocean in particular, I think it's unlikely that Monmouth and Ocean will be in the Democratic column in 2017, even if there is a Democratic victory. So now we can combine the election results from each of the elections we just looked at for a composite map. We can see that two counties, Hudson and Essex, voted for the Democratic candidate every time, and that 6 counties, Sussex, Warren, Hunterdon, Morris, Somerset, and Cape May, voted for the Republican candidate every time. 2 counties, Monmouth and Ocean, voted for the Republican 3 out of 4 times. 6 counties, Passaic, Bergen, Union, Mercer, Camden, and Cumberland, voted for the Democrat 3 out of 4 times. And 5 counties seem to be perfect swings: Salem, Gloucester, Burlington, Atlantic, and Middlesex. Extrapolating this data to make predictions for 2017, I'm going to immediately award every county that voted for the same party in the past 4 gubernatorial elections to the party that they voted for. That means I'm automatically awarding Hudson and Essex to the Democrats, while Sussex, Warren, Hunterdon, Morris, Somerset, and Cape May go to the Republicans. I've also already explained why I think Monmouth and Ocean will go to the Republicans in 2017. I just remembered 2 more things I want to mention. First is, both Kim Guadagno and Phil Murphy live in Monmouth County. So regardless of how this turns out, Monmouth County is going to be the home county of the next governor. Also, neither Phil Murphy nor Kim Guadagno was born in New Jersey. Phil Murphy was born in Massachusetts, while Kim Guadagno was born in Iowa. Also, Kim Guadagno's lieutenant gubernatorial candidate, Carlos Rendo, was born in Cuba. So Phil Murphy's running mate, Sheila Oliver, is actually the only person of the 4 major party candidates on the 2 tickets who was born in New Jersey. I just love geography, so I couldn't help myself there. Getting back to the predictions. We've discussed how Atlantic County is a bellwether in New Jersey politics, so I'm going to award it to the winner of the statewide vote, which is Phil Murphy. I'm also going to award all of the counties that typically flip to the Democrats before Atlantic County to Phil Murphy. That means Cumberland, Camden, Mercer, Union, Bergen, and Passaic. That leaves 4 counties that are very difficult to determine: Middlesex, Burlington, Gloucester, and Salem. Just to get a sense of which of these counties are generally bluer and redder than Atlantic, I looked at the 2016 presidential election results. In 2016, Middlesex County voted 58% for Clinton, Burlington County voted 54% for Clinton, and Atlantic County voted 51% for Clinton. Gloucester went 47% for Trump, which was a plurality victory, and Salem went 54% for Trump, which was a majority victory. Since I'm anticipating a Democratic victory, and Burlington and Middlesex appear slightly bluer than Atlantic County, I'm going to give both of those to Phil Murphy. However, that still doesn't determine which way Salem and Gloucester are going to go. As we've already discussed, polling can be problematic, but since I don't have anything better to go on to predict these last 2 counties, I'm going to have to turn to it at this point. I don't have any county-by-county polling data, but the latest Stockton University poll shows Phil Murphy leading by 14 points. So what I did is, I got the 2013 gubernatorial election results county by county from Wikipedia, and I calculated by what percentage that year each county was redder or bluer than the statewide vote. So what we can predict is, counties that are 14% redder or more than the statewide vote will go to Guadagno, and the others will go to Phil Murphy. Using this method, I found that Gloucester County was about 8% redder than the statewide vote in 2013, meaning that if Phil Murphy takes the state by 14 percentage points, we would expect him to take Gloucester County by about 6 percentage points. So my prediction for Gloucester County will be Phil Murphy. Using this same method, I found that Salem County was 13.8% redder than the statewide average, which means based on this method we would expect Phil Murphy to win it by 0.2 percentage points, well within the Stockton poll's 4.3% margin of error. So effectively this method predicts Salem County being a complete toss-up, with virtually no way of telling which way it will go because it will be so incredibly close. I'll give it to Murphy because that's technically what this method predicted, but really it's so incredibly close that this Salem County prediction does not matter at all. By the way, I also checked all of my other county predictions using this method, and all of them came out the same way. So essentially that just solidifies all of my previous explanations about counties that I made using other methods. You may notice that my predictions for each county happen to be the same as the way each county voted in 2005. I don't think that means anything particularly important, but I just think it's an interesting thing to consider. Following the first 2017 gubernatorial debate between Phil Murphy and Kim Guadagno at NJPAC, I attended a panel discussion with former governors Florio and Kane. One of the governors, I forget which one, said that Kim Guadagno's one chance at winning the election would be to truly make it a referendum on taxes as she says it is. However, the governor also said that he doesn't think it's likely, and I want to build off of that point. In this election cycle, media outlets have been quick to point out that in polls, more New Jerseyans say that property taxes is the issue they're most concerned about than any other issue. However, it's important to remember that in these polls, property taxes wins by a plurality of citizens rather than a majority. A plurality means that something got more votes than anything else, but got less than half of the total votes. For example, when I looked up polls about this topic, the first one I found was from May 2017. The poll was conducted by Quinnipiac, and in it, only 25% of New Jerseyans ranked property taxes as the issue they care most about. So even though it's certainly a major issue, the combined force of all the other issues will probably outweigh it in the end. So there you have it, Mr. New Jersey's predictions for the legislative and gubernatorial elections of 2017. Have I embarrassed myself spectacularly? Let me know in the comments, preferably after the election so it can be even more vitriolic. I hope you found this video enjoyable and informative. If so, please like and subscribe. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.